Welcome to Sleep Verse, a gentle space where stories drift slowly, voices stay soft, and the night becomes calm again. Settle in, breathe deeply, and let the quiet guide you toward restful sleep. On a quiet night, when the world settles into its gentle rhythm, and the sky grows calm above us, there is a small invitation waiting in the stillness, an invitation to rest, to drift, to slow down. Tonight's story is a simple, sleepy tale about a little cloud wandering across a peaceful sky. Nothing hurried, nothing loud, only soft winds, quiet moments, and a calm journey meant to help the mind unwind. So, find a comfortable place to rest. Let your breathing soften. Let your shoulders drop just a little, and allow the calm of the evening to wrap itself gently around you. As the night deepens, and as you settle into this quiet space, the story will unfold like a soft breeze, slowly, warmly, dreamily, guiding you toward rest, one peaceful moment at a time. As the quiet breath of night begins to settle around the room, the story takes its first gentle step forward, and now begins the very quiet journey. On a gentle afternoon, high above the calm world, a little cloud floated quietly in the wide, open sky. It was a soft, round, harmless little thing, light as a whisper, pale as morning milk, drifting without any hurry at all. It moved the way someone might sway in a half-dream, barely awake, barely thinking, simply letting the day carry them wherever it wished. Below the little cloud stretched a peaceful world, glowing under the slow warmth of the sun. Farms rested in wide patches of green, rooftops shimmered faintly, and distant hills softened into a quiet blue haze. Nothing rushed, nothing pushed. Everything simply was. The little cloud had no grand purpose, no important plan, and no destination waiting in the distance. It only knew how to drift, softly, slowly, comfortably, letting the wind shape its path. And on this particular day, the wind was in a dreamy mood, too. It nudged the little cloud with the gentlest push, like a parent encouraging a sleepy child to keep moving just a little more. The cloud didn't mind. It liked being moved in tiny stretches, just enough to feel it was going somewhere without truly having to go anywhere at all. For a long moment, the little cloud rested in a patch of warm sunlight. The sun wasn't too bright at this hour. It was soft, like a golden blanket spread across the sky. The light seeped gently through the cloud's edges, warming it until it felt like a small piece of comfort floating in the air. From far below, if anyone happened to look up, they would have seen a tiny puff of white drifting so lazily that it almost appeared not to move at all. But the little cloud was moving, just very, very slowly. As the sunlight wrapped around it, the cloud felt something simple and peaceful stir inside. A small curiosity, a quiet wondering, not the loud kind that demands answers, but the soft kind that asks only for gentle noticing. It wondered what the world looked like a little farther away. It wondered how the sky changed when one drifted long enough to see new colors. It wondered whether different winds had different moods and if some winds carried softer stories than others. These were small thoughts, almost weightless, but to the little cloud they were enough. Enough to make the day feel like it wanted to become a small adventure. Not an exciting one, not a heroic one, but a quiet, boring, wonderfully simple one. So the little cloud let the soft wind guide it away from its warm patch of light. Not very far, not very fast, just a slow drift toward whatever gentle things waited ahead. As it moved, the cloud noticed the shade of the sky changing a little. The blue shifted, not into anything dramatic, but into a slightly deeper calm, like a pond when evening begins to hum softly at its edges. The air felt cooler in this part of the sky, and the little cloud liked the feeling. It was the sort of coolness that didn't chill, only soothed. Every now and then, a faint breeze would slip through, brushing against the little cloud's sides, reshaping it a bit. Not enough to change its nature, only enough to keep it comfortable. The cloud had never minded being reshaped. It liked the idea of being whatever the moment wanted it to be. Far below, a wide field unrolled like a soft green pillow. Tall grass swayed lazily, stirred by a wind that matched the sky's calm mood. Nothing rushed here. Even the shadows seemed to drift at half speed. The little cloud enjoyed looking down at the field. It liked the quiet rhythm of the grass moving, the steady glow of the sun lying across it, the way small birds circled slowly in wide arcs, choosing rest over haste. For a long moment, the kind that stretches softly without needing to be counted, the little cloud floated above the still lake, watching itself and the quiet patterns of light playing on the water. It felt content, deeply content, in a way only very slow days can create. Gradually, the breeze shifted again, this time even softer, like a whisper drifting through a drowsy room. The cloud followed it willingly. As it drifted farther from the lake, the light began to mellow. The sun dipped ever so slightly, tinting the sky with a faint golden blush. Not sunset yet, just the beginning of that warm, sleepy transition when afternoon gently leans toward evening. The little cloud felt the change immediately. The warmth became thicker, more soothing, as though the sky had wrapped everything in a quiet embrace. The cloud felt smaller in this wide, glowing world, but in a comforting way, like a tiny piece of a much larger, peaceful dream. Soon, the cloud drifted toward a region where the wind barely moved at all. This part of the sky felt still, almost like a resting place. The air here was soft and steady, like the inside of a deep breath. The little cloud slowed its drift even more, not deliberately but naturally, until it was almost hovering. Not completely still, just floating in a gentle, steady pause. From up here, everything looked softer. The colors, the shapes, the shadows, even the sounds drifting up from the world below seemed muted and hushed. The cloud felt like it was watching the sky fall slowly into a quiet daydream. It liked this moment. It liked how nothing seemed to need anything. No chasing, no rushing, no changing, just being. The clouds settled into the still air, letting its fluffy edges stretch and relax, letting its shape loosen into an even softer puff than before. And as it rested there in the quiet sky, it wondered, in its gentle way, what other softly boring places might exist beyond this stillness. It wondered if the sky held different kinds of calm. Sleepy calm, warm calm, cool calm, thoughtful calm. And if wandering far enough would reveal them all. None of these thoughts demanded answers. They simply floated through the cloud's mind the way a breeze might wander through an open window, bringing with it a sense of quiet curiosity. And in that quiet curiosity, the little cloud felt the beginning of its soft, slow adventure unfolding. A journey with no destination, only gentle moments strung together in the wide, peaceful sky. As the light continued to soften, the cloud felt ready to drift a little farther, carried by whatever calm wind wished to guide it next. Its quiet, boring adventure had begun. From here, the path becomes even softer. The stillness of those first steps slowly transforms into a calm walk beneath the open sky, and the story now moves into the next peaceful part. The day drifted slowly onward, and the cloud eased itself into the unfolding quiet of the sky. Nothing hurried, nothing pushed. Time itself seemed to stretch into soft, unbroken ribbons, the kind that loosen all sense of where one moment ends and the next begins. The little cloud remained wrapped in calm stillness for a while, resting in the warm hush of the late afternoon. Up here, the air felt steady and thoughtful, as though it had been waiting for someone peaceful enough to share its quiet company. Eventually, the stillness shifted just a little. A faint breeze arrived, not strong, not demanding, just a soft presence brushing lightly past the cloud's edges. It felt like the sky was offering a tiny invitation, the kind that doesn't require acceptance but feels comforting simply by existing. The little cloud welcomed the breeze without thinking. It allowed the wind to slip gently around and beneath it, lifting it just enough to start a slow, drifting motion once again. This was a special kind of wind, the kind that didn't seem to lead anywhere specific. It moved in easy, wandering curves, flowing in small arcs as though exploring its own path. The little cloud found this rhythm to be exactly right, neither purposeful nor aimless, but dreamily in between. As it drifted, the cloud noticed how the sky around it had begun to glow in a softer way. The sun was still high enough to brighten the world, but its light had grown more golden, more rounded at the edges. Everything shimmered in gentle warmth. Not sharp, not bright, just calm. The cloud let the golden light soak into it. The warmth didn't heat it so much as comfort it, filling it with a feeling that resembled a long, slow exhale. Far below, the peaceful fields stretched wider, their greens deepening as the light mellowed. Trees cast longer, slower shadows, and the small birds that had been circling earlier were now gliding in relaxed loops, as though settling into the idea of evening. The cloud watched all of this with quiet appreciation. It liked observing the world without needing to understand it. It liked how the earth carried its own gentle rhythms, matching the sky's slowness without ever seeming to try. The breeze that guided the little cloud shifted slightly, becoming cooler in one moment, warmer in the next, as though different parts of the wind were taking turns offering their touch. Each new change felt like a small, harmless surprise. Sometimes, the wind curled under the cloud, lifting it a little. Other times, it pressed gently from the side, guiding it into a new patch of sky. And in between these subtle movements, there were stretches of stillness, where the cloud floated almost motionless. The cloud enjoyed all of it, the motion, the pause, the warmth, the softness. Everything blended together into a calm, slow flow that felt like drifting inside a dream. As it wandered, the little cloud came across a stretch of sky where the light changed again. Not dramatically, but delicately. Here, the blue deepened into a tone that looked almost velvety, and the air felt cooler, the way a room feels when someone lowers the lights just enough to relax the mind. This part of the sky held a different calming mood. It felt like a quiet hallway between day and evening, a gentle in-between place where time softened its pace even more. The little cloud floated into this velvety blue, feeling its edges relax as the cool air slipped gently through it. The sensation made the cloud feel as though it were sinking into a soft cushion, not downward, but inward into a deeper calm. Every now and then, a barely there breeze would move through, just enough to stir the cloud's shape. The cloud didn't mind. It liked the idea of being gently rearranged by the sky, like a pillow being fluffed for comfort. Below, the lake that the cloud had passed earlier appeared once more, though from this new angle it looked even calmer. Its surface reflected the dimming sky, turning into a soft blend of blue and gold. Ripples drifted lazily outward, so slow they seemed almost still. The cloud felt a quiet fondness as it watched the lake again. It was soothing to see how even the water carried the same gentle rhythm as the sky. As the cloud continued drifting, something else arrived. Another breeze, softer than the others, almost shy in the way it approached. It curled gently around the cloud, pushing it a little higher. The cloud rose slowly, passing through a layer of air that felt cooler and smoother than the rest. Up here, the world stretched even more widely. Hills and fields below turned into soft shapes, their edges blurred by distance. The sky expanded into an endless calm, the kind that made drifting feel like floating inside a vast, peaceful thought. The cloud felt lighter as it rose. Its edges thinned slightly, becoming airy and delicate, almost like a breath fading into the atmosphere before softly returning. But the cloud didn't feel smaller in a worrying way, only in a gentle, peaceful way, as though shedding a little weight it no longer needed. Higher in the sky, the breeze slowed again, settling into long, smooth currents that carried the cloud in a gentle arc. These winds didn't push, they supported, like hands holding something fragile with great care. The little cloud let the winds cradle it. It allowed itself to be moved, shaped, and guided without resistance. There was nothing to resist. The sky asked nothing of it except to drift. For a while, a long, unhurried while, the cloud floated in quiet harmony with the sky. Occasionally, a very faint sound reached up from the world below, the distant murmur of water, the rustle of leaves, the soft hum of life settling into evening. These sounds were so faint that they blended with the air itself, becoming part of the sky's own calm breath. The cloud listened without listening, letting the soft noises weave into its drifting thoughts until everything felt connected. The sky, the earth, the breeze, and the gentle stillness that wrapped around it all. Eventually, the light shifted again. The golden glow warmed into something deeper, like melted honey spreading across the horizon. Evening wasn't here yet, but it was approaching in the softest way imaginable. The little cloud noticed the change and welcomed it. It liked how the day seemed to ease into night without effort, sliding slowly toward coolness and shadow, just as the cloud eased through the sky without aim. As it drifted through the honey-colored light, the cloud felt something warm and comforting bloom inside itself. A sense of being part of something bigger, something endlessly gentle. It wasn't a grand feeling. It wasn't overwhelming. It was quiet, like the feeling one gets when watching soft rain fall on an empty street. A sense of belonging to a rhythm that doesn't need to be understood. The cloud embraced that feeling, letting it settle into its soft, fluffy form. And just as it fully relaxed into this peaceful moment, another gentle wind approached, slower, warmer, sleepier than any before. A wind made for tired clouds. A wind that seemed to whisper, "Asterisk, come this way, just for a while. There is a quieter part of the sky waiting." Asterisk. The little cloud followed. Its quiet, boring adventure continued. Slowly, as the night deepens and the air grows quieter, the journey reaches a new turn, where footsteps stay soft, but thoughts begin to glow like tiny stars. It is time to drift into the next gentle chapter. The little cloud drifted deeper into the gentle wind that had invited it onward. This wind moved with a slow, steady rhythm, as though it had been shaped by the fading warmth of late afternoon. It nudged the cloud with long, quiet strokes, carrying it toward a part of the sky where everything felt heavier with softness, almost like the world preparing its blanket for the night. Here, the light changed again. The bright gold of earlier mellowed into a tender, peach-colored glow. Not bright, not dim, just warm enough to feel like the sky was sighing into a calmer state. The colors spread gradually across the horizon, blending together in soft gradients that made the sky look like a slow watercolor painting still settling into its canvas. The little cloud floated through this wash of color, feeling the warmth loosen its fluffy edges. The clouds stretched slightly, widening as though settling into a comfortable position. Even though clouds didn't have muscles or eyes or breath, it somehow felt like it was exhaling, letting go of whatever tiny bits of weight it had gathered during the day. Far below, the world joined the change. Trees grew darker at their roots and softer along their tops, turning into quiet silhouettes against the peach-colored sky. The fields glowed faintly, as though storing the sun's last warmth inside their grass. Small streams shimmered with tiny ribbons of reflected light. From up high, the cloud watched the gentle transformation, noticing the small differences between one moment and the next. None of the changes were fast. None were dramatic. Everything unfolded with the same slow, deliberate calmness the cloud carried within itself. As the cloud drifted farther into the colored sky, it passed through a patch of air that felt cooler, like the first hint of evening touching the day. The coolness didn't push or chill. It simply wrapped around the cloud like a soft scarf, inviting it to snuggle deeper into the drifting wind. The cloud welcomed the feeling. The mixture of warm light and cool air created a perfect balance, the kind of comfort one feels when lying under a warm blanket in a slightly chilly room. Up here, the sky stretched wider than ever. The horizon seemed to open slowly, revealing a subtle curve of distant hills barely visible through the haze of color. Even the sun felt quieter now, as though it too was preparing for its slow descent. The breeze guiding the clouds softened even more, turning into a gentle glide. The cloud's movement became almost imperceptible, a slow drift that felt like floating in a half-dream. Every now and then, the breeze shifted direction slightly, causing the cloud to tilt or stretch. These small motions were comforting, like adjustments a sleepy body makes to get just a little more comfortable. The cloud passed through a region of air tinged with a faint scent. Not a strong smell, but a soft hint of something earthy and warm drifting up from the world below. Perhaps the scent of warm soil cooling under the coming night. Perhaps the faint breath of distant trees releasing the day's heat. The little cloud absorbed it all without the need to name or understand any of it. Everything was simply part of the sky's quiet conversation. As minutes passed, or perhaps longer, time felt slow and unmeasured. The sky deepened into richer hues. The peach softened into rosy gold. Then the gold mellowed into muted lavender. And finally, the lavender folded into a gentle blue-gray, like the sky was drawing a curtain of calm over itself. The little cloud drifted through each color, letting the changing light wash over it. Its edges shifted subtly, catching different shades as it floated. In the golden light, it glowed. In the lavender, it softened. In the blue-gray, it became a quiet silhouette of its former fluffiness. Far below, tiny pockets of evening activity stirred. Not loud activity, just small movements. Birds gliding back to their nests, the faint rustling of leaves, the quiet hum of crickets beginning their night songs. From high above, these sounds reached the cloud as the faintest impression, blending into the air like distant, peaceful murmurs. The cloud drifted on, watching the world with a gentle curiosity. It liked the way the earth seemed to grow softer as evening approached, as though the whole world was preparing to settle into a shared quiet. Ahead, The breeze shifted once again, guiding the cloud toward a part of the sky where the colors grew even sleepier. Here, the sky faded into shades of warm gray and dusty rose, blending together like soft fabric folded on a bed. The little cloud entered this area and felt the air change too. It became denser, more velvety, as though carrying the weight of the ending day. The cloud floated through it slowly, feeling the texture of the air settle gently against its fluff. In this quieter region of the sky, the wind barely moved at all. It lingered, hovering in slow, lingering swirls that kept the clouds suspended in a comfortable stillness. The clouds stopped drifting for a moment, not because it chose to, but because the air had become a resting place. It hovered there, held by the soft embrace of the sleepy breeze. Below, the world darkened slightly. Shadows lengthened until they merged with the softening light. A few faint glimmers appeared where lakes or ponds reflected the last bits of day. The hills grew into deeper shapes, blending into the landscape like shy silhouettes. The cloud watched everything, held in the slow magic of the transition. Then something gentle happened. The wind that had been barely there stirred again, this time with a warm, tired sigh. The sigh nudged the cloud forward once more, encouraging it to move toward the horizon where the day's last glow lingered. The cloud followed, floating slowly toward the dimming light. Every movement felt slower, quieter, as though the sky itself were whispering a lullaby. And in this twilight drift, the cloud noticed the beginning of a new feeling, a cozy drowsiness, the same kind that settles over the land when night begins to stretch its cool hands. The cloud didn't feel sleepy in the way human beings do, but it felt something close, a desire to soften even more, to let its edges loosen gently into the tender breeze, to drift without any thought at all. As it moved through the last warm glow of the evening, the colors around it shifted one more time. The soft rose faded into a muted, dusky purple. The purple melted into a deepening blue, and the deep blue slowly, lovingly, turned into the first hint of night. The little cloud drifted into the blue. The air here was cooler, more settled. It wrapped around the cloud with a sense of calm so complete that it felt like floating through a lullaby. Below, the final traces of sunlight slipped away. Above, the sky prepared itself for stars, and the cloud, carried by the gentle winds, continued its quiet, boring, wonderfully peaceful journey through the soft, sleepy colors of the evening sky. The night has fully unfolded now. Silence flows not just around the story, but through it. In this deeper calm, the next part begins to rise, leading us into a softer, slower moment. Night arrived in the gentlest way possible. Not suddenly, not sharply, but like a soft blanket being lowered over the world. Inch by inch, careful not to disturb anything resting below. The little cloud drifted quietly into this deepening calm, carried by a breeze that had grown slower, cooler, and sleepier with each passing moment. The sky around it had turned into a soft ocean of blue, not a loud or dramatic blue, but a muted velvety shade that seemed designed for dreaming. Up here, everything felt more hushed, as if the sky itself knew that the world below needed rest, and so it softened its own breath to match. The little cloud drifted through this peaceful stillness, feeling as though it were moving through a quiet hallway where every sound was padded with gentle silence. Far below, night settled over the land like a quiet friend. Fields turned into wide pools of shadow. Trees melted into soft, dark shapes that swayed with the slow rhythm of the evening wind. Tiny pockets of warm light appeared here and there, from small windows, distant lanterns, or faint reflections on water, but even those lights glowed softly, never loudly. The cloud floated above it all, watching the world dim with a comforting softness. Felt no need to hurry. Its entire being seemed to match the lull of the night, drifting in a rhythm that felt almost like breathing. As it glided deeper into the nighttime sky, the cloud noticed the appearance of something gentle and magical, the faint shimmer of early stars. At first, they were just tiny specks, small glimmers scattered across the sky like pieces of quiet thought. But slowly, patiently, they grew brighter. The cloud felt a warm curiosity inside itself, the kind that didn't stir excitement but deepened calm. It liked the stars. They twinkled slowly, kindly, like they were blinking in a drowsy, friendly way. The cloud drifted closer to a region of sky where the stars were clearer. The air here felt special, cool, clean, and filled with a stillness so deep that it seemed to stretch endlessly. The night wind in this part of the sky was different too. It wasn't strong. It wasn't even steady. Instead, it moved in slow waves, like a soft tide lapping gently at the shore. Each wave lifted the little cloud ever so slightly, then let it settle again. The motion was soothing, a soft rocking that felt like being held. The cloud floated through these waves with quiet ease. Its edges wavered softly in the cool breeze, reshaping in tiny stretches that felt relaxing, almost like stretching one's arms before drifting into sleep. The stars above grew even clearer as the sky deepened. Some sparkled sharply, like tiny specks of silver. Others glowed more softly, like dim lanterns hanging in the sky. The cloud didn't know their names or their distances or their stories, but it didn't need to. It simply enjoyed their presence. The way their light dotted the night like gentle decorations made for sleepy wanderers of the sky. For a long stretch, though time felt unmeasured, the little cloud drifted through the night winds, letting the cool air carry it deeper into the quiet world above. Occasionally, it passed through patches of sky where the wind was still, holding the cloud gently in place. In those moments, the only things that moved were the faint glimmers of stars and the slow rotation of the world below. These pauses felt peaceful. They felt like the sky had stopped moving just long enough to rest with the cloud. In one such pause, the little cloud drifted into a patch of air that felt like the softest place in the entire night sky. The air there was warm with leftover sunlight that had been slowly fading. Not hot, just comfortably warm, like the last touch of a cozy day. The cloud settled into it, floating almost completely still. It felt a deep sense of peace, as though it were lying down on an invisible cushion made of air and starlight. Below, the land had grown quieter. Most of the small lights in the distant homes had dimmed. Fields were tucked beneath a blanket of darkness. Only the soft glow of moonlight on water hinted at movement. The cloud absorbed the quietness, letting it sink into its soft form. It felt lighter, dreamier, as though sleepiness itself was drifting through its fluffy shape. Eventually, a new breeze appeared, a night wind cooler than the others, tinged with the faint scent of night flowers rising from the earth. This breeze didn't push strongly. It nudged, encouraging the cloud to drift onward, deeper into the gentle world of midnight. The little cloud followed, rising slightly higher into the sky. Here, the stars grew brighter still. They stretched in long, quiet lines across the sky. Some formed faint patterns, while others drifted alone, glowing softly in their stillness. The cloud felt surrounded by a gentle beauty, a beauty so quiet it didn't demand attention. It simply existed, waiting to be noticed, As it drifted higher, the air grew cooler and cleaner, the kind of coolness that isn't cold but refreshing, like dipping toes into a stream after a long, warm walk. The cloud felt the coolness slip through it, weaving between its soft layers, giving it a renewed sense of ease. Below, the world became a soft blur of shapes and shadows. Everything blended into calm tones, as if the earth itself had turned into a quiet painting. The cloud realized that up here, above the world, everything felt slower. Even the night seemed to move at a gentler pace, letting each moment stretch comfortably without rushing toward the next. The cloud continued drifting, moving with the slow, steady rhythm of the night winds. Occasionally, it passed by another small cloud, sometimes a bit higher, sometimes lower, but none were close enough to interrupt its quiet. They were like soft shadows drifting in their own sleepy journeys, sharing the same sky but not the same path. The little cloud felt a sense of companionship from these distant shapes. It didn't need words or closeness. Just knowing that other clouds drifted in the night gave it a quiet comfort. The wind shifted again, slowing down to an almost stillness. The cloud floated into it and hovered gently, held in place by the cool night air. Here, the sky was dark and deep, the kind of darkness that doesn't frighten but welcomes. A darkness made of soft shadows and quiet stars. The cloud relaxed completely, its edges loosened, the center softened. Everything in it seemed to melt into the night. Up here, time felt like a soft breath. Moments blended peacefully, without beginnings or endings. The night sky wrapped around the little cloud like a gentle cloak, cradling it in the vast, quiet world above. And as the cloud drifted through this tender calm, it began to sense that its soft adventure still had a little more to offer. Another gentle chapter waiting ahead, resting somewhere in the slow approach of dawn. The little cloud drifted onward, held by the quiet above the world. And now, with only a few quiet steps left, the story turns into its calmest, deepest form. The journey is ready to enter its final, peaceful layer as we step into the last part of the journey. The little cloud continued drifting through the most peaceful stretch of sky it had found all day. Everything felt slower here, quieter, almost as if the whole sky had settled into a soft whisper. The colors had grown pale and velvety, fading into gentle shades that looked like they had been brushed in with the lightest touch. Each movement felt like a slow exhale. Each moment felt like a small rest. Below, the evening world had become a quiet painting. Fields rested beneath a fading glow. Trees stood still, as if listening to some faraway lullaby. And distant rooftops held on to the last traces of daylight like warm memories they wanted to keep for just a little longer. The little cloud watched all this with a steady, sleepy sense of wonder. There was nothing grand happening here, and yet, it felt enough, felt warm, felt like a secret kind of comfort. Every few breaths, a faint breeze would rise and fall, like someone slowly turning the pages of a gentle book. The cloud let itself be carried by those soft pushes, drifting wherever the sky decided to take it. There was no urgency left in the day, no corners to reach, no tasks to complete. It was drifting simply because drifting felt natural, because drifting felt right. Far in the horizon, the sun had lowered into a warm, orange glow, not bright anymore, but softened into something kind and far away. The light touched the little cloud in the gentlest way, painting its edges in a hushed golden outline. The cloud felt almost drowsy under the glow, like a child wrapped in a warm blanket just before sleep. Time moved differently up here, slower, softer. The little cloud felt every passing moment stretch like a peaceful, calm breath. The wind whispered around it, and the whisper didn't ask anything of it. The world below dimmed little by little, and that dimness didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a soothing invitation. As the cloud drifted further into the evening sky, it noticed tiny glimmers beginning to appear. Little specks of light that shimmered faintly, as if waking from their daytime rest. Stars, quiet, patient, unhurried stars. They rose into the sky with a grace that felt almost familiar to the cloud, as though they shared the same rhythm. Slow, soft, peaceful. The little cloud treasured the sight, not because the stars were dazzling, but because they were still. They didn't rush to shine. They simply existed, glowing quietly in the dim blue spreading across the sky. It felt comforting to float in the presence of something so calm. Below, lights flickered on in faraway homes. Soft, warm little dots scattered across the landscape like small sparks of coziness. The cloud watched them from above, imagining the quiet stories unfolding inside. Someone sitting by a window, someone slowly stirring a cup of evening tea, someone stretching after a long day and stepping gently into rest. None of it needed to be known in detail. The little cloud simply felt the warmth of those small lives glowing softly in the dusk. The breeze thinned even more now, turning into the lightest touch of air. The cloud drifted through that stillness with a deepening sense of ease. Felt lighter than before, almost weightless, as if the sky had taken all the heaviness from its tiny form and kept only the softness. A quiet thought floated through the cloud, not a loud realization, just a gentle noticing. It had gone on a simple journey today, a slow, uneventful one, filled with ordinary sights and ordinary moments. But those ordinary things had created something meaningful. The calm fields, the sleepy hills, the patient stars, the soothing wind. All of them had shown the cloud a soft truth. Sometimes the quietest journeys leave the warmest echoes. The sky grew darker, but not in a way that felt empty. It grew darker in a comforting, enveloping way, like curtains being drawn in a cozy room right before bedtime. The cloud felt itself sinking into that darkness, not downward, but into a deeper layer of calm. The stars grew softer around it. The breeze slowed even further. The day's final colors faded into a smooth, restful tone. And still the cloud drifted. Every part of the sky felt sleepier now. Even the horizon had softened into a faint outline. The air was cool, but gentle, the kind of cool that made everything feel more peaceful. The cloud allowed itself to relax even more, letting its fluffy edges loosen, letting its shape spread ever so softly. It didn't need to hold itself together perfectly. Not tonight. Tonight, the sky welcomed every shape, every change, every slow unfolding. The cloud felt free to simply be. As it drifted on, it noticed a faint glow rising from far below, the moon. A quiet crescent at first, then a gentle curve of light. It lifted itself slowly into the sky, shining a soft, silvery glow that touched everything with tenderness. The cloud felt that moonlight pass through it like a quiet lullaby, soothing its tiny vapor heart. It felt warm and cool at the same time, like a hand resting gently on a sleepy forehead. The moon continued to rise, patient as always, and the little cloud drifted alongside it, feeling a simple happiness from sharing the night with such a calm companion. There were no words between them, just the soft presence of one quiet thing beside another. After a while, the cloud found itself floating above a peaceful, silent hill. The hill had been bright earlier, but now it rested under the night sky like a calm giant asleep. The trees on the hill stood still, dark and unmoving. The grass swayed only when the faintest breeze passed through. Everything about the hill felt like a gentle sigh. The cloud hovered above it not because it needed to, but because it simply felt right. The hill felt like a safe place to rest above, a still place in a still world. The cloud sensed that its journey for the day was finding its soft conclusion here. It let the breeze carry it less and less. It let the moonlight settle deeper into its tiny form. It let its edges relax until they blurred gently into the surrounding night. The cloud felt a softness spreading through it, like drifting into a warm, deep, quiet dream. The stars above shimmered faintly, as if whispering a final good night. The world below settled into deeper stillness. The sky became a cradle of quiet blue and silver, and the little cloud drifted slower and slower and slower. It didn't think about where it had started or where it would go next. It didn't think about whether its journey had been exciting or not. It only felt the deep, peaceful truth that simple things, soft things, quiet things, could hold so much warmth. The day was ending gently, and the cloud, resting in the night sky, felt ready to end the day with it. A final breeze touched it, the lightest one yet, almost like a whisper of comfort, telling it that it had done enough, that it could rest now. The cloud let that whisper sink in. It relaxed completely. It drifted into the soft dark. It became part of the night's calm rhythm, slow, gentle, warm. And as the world below closed its eyes, the little cloud did too, in its own quiet, dreamy way, floating peacefully through the comforting silence of the sleepy sky, until even drifting felt like dreaming, and the night held everything softly in its quiet embrace. And just like that, without noise, without hurry, the journey begins to dissolve gently into the night, like a drifting cloud fading into darkness. The story reaches its soft ending, leaving only rest, stillness, and a quiet space for sleep. And now, as the little cloud drifts quietly into the deep, sleepy sky, you too can drift into your own gentle rest. There is nothing left to do tonight, no tasks waiting, no thoughts to hold on to, only the soft comfort of this quiet moment. Let the calm settle around you, like a warm blanket. Let your mind grow lighter, your breath slower, your body softer. The night is here to hold you, in its peaceful, steady silence. Just like the little cloud, you can let go gently, slowly, and drift into a restful dream. May your night be calm, may your sleep be deep, and may you wake tomorrow with softness in your heart and ease in your thoughts. Good night, and drift softly